Assalamualaikum and good afternoon. Welcome to HANN Shows. This video we prepared for our lecturer Madam Siti Azrina and also our classmate MAC2208F. Before we start with the first topic on the measuring economic and social impact on the environmental cost management, we from the HANN Shows would like to ask you guys on your opinions about the impacts towards the social and economy on the environmental cost management. Do you have any idea what's the impact?
No.
Don't worry, we will discuss it in the seminar. Before we proceed further, let me go through the content of this topic. Number 1, the objective. Number 2 is the definitions of economic impact. Number 3 is the positive and negative of economic impact. Number 4, related cases on economic impact. Number 5 is the definitions of social impact. Number 6 is the positive and negative of social impact. Number 7 is the related case on social impact. And lastly, other challenges. If of this presentation for this topic are: number 1, to identify what are the impacts on the environmental cost management. Number 2, to analyze the economic impacts and also social impacts on environmental cost management. For this slide, I would like to share with you guys the definitions of economic impact. Economic impact can be referred to the environmental factors which influence to the economy and also financial situations of a company. Environmental economic impact can be macro factors and also micro factors, which macro factors can be inflation or tax rate. Micro factors can be the quality of raw materials or the demands of the product. The positive economic impacts are: number 1, create a good image of the company, and this will encourage the investor to invest in the company and also our country. Number 2, meeting the regulations and also local requirement. Number 3, sustainable business as the company meets the economic needs. Negative impacts. The negative economic impacts are: number 1, the company need to spend more money to manage waste. Number 2, the company may reduce the manpower and also material quality as they need to recover the environmental management costs. Or the company may increase the price of the product to maintain the same profit. Number 3, if the environmental management does not meet with the local requirement, the additional cost will be added. Now let us see the real case of the factory which are not complying with the environmental regulations. Even though those factories are licensed factories, but according to the articles, they are not following the environmental regulations. As a result, the factory cause water pollution and the authority need to take actions against these factories. According to these articles, due to water pollution, water supply has interrupted and this has affected other business operations due to shortage of water. In addition, the water companies has to spend additional costs to supply water to the user by using tanks and jumbo lorry.
Thank you, Nashita, for the explanation on economic impact. So, I will explain the social impact. What is social impact? Social impact is how organization, business, or individual action affect the surrounding community. It may be result of an activity, project, program, or policy, and the impact can be intentional or unintentionally, and as well as positive or negative. The social impact can be felt by people directly associated with the organization or individual, or have a more far-reaching effect on people in different communities, states, and even countries. So, when the company invests in the environmental cause, what is the positive and negative impact to social? Alright, the first positive impact to social are the company can easily gain trust from the stakeholder as the company manage their operations and environment wisely. The stakeholder will not hesitate to cooperate with the company because they believe the company follow the rules and regulations. Other than that, it will improve the company image as the company follows the law and regulations enforced by the government to protect the environment. If the company gets sued for causing the environment pollution, it will give the bad image to the company. The third positive impact is it will improve the quality of living of society, and everyone will enjoy living in a healthier environment. When the environment is clean and fresh, the society will live happier and healthy. Lastly, the positive impact is it will protect the company from any charges for not complying with the environmental regulations and requirements. For the negative impact, first, it will incur more time to manage the waste as they have to follow the procedure to dispose their waste. To prevent from any environmental pollutions, that's why many companies dispose their waste to river because it will take lesser time and not much procedure needed. Other than that, the wrong usage of natural resource and operation failure lead to creations of waste. When the company made an experiment to use the natural resource to their product and fail for many times, it can create waste and wrong usage of natural resource such as tree. Lastly, only certain people or society afford to buy their product or service due to the cost increase. When the company use natural resource in their product, the cost will increase, and only certain people that afford will buy it. For example of real case is in Kuala Lumpur and Selangor, which the water pollution lead to water supply cut to millions of people in that state. The water pollution caused by the vehicle maintenance factory allegedly poured used industrial oil into drains that flowed into Sungai Gong, where its water is treated and piped to homes, industries, and office. 4 factory managers who are suspected of involvement in a water pollution case was remanded for 6 days. For the next cases is in Pasir Gudang, Johor, which the chemical waste pollution in Sungai Kim Kim and air pollution bring a huge impact to the affected residents. The Department of Environment and Police raided an illegal factory located 500 meters from Sungai Kim Kim and arrest 3 men, including 2 factory owners, on suspicions of disposal of chemical waste into the river. In order to prevent the pollutions, the government announced 7 steps to improve environmental quality control. includes taking stern action against environmental offenders, broadening surveillance, beefing up enforcement, and setting up the Pasir Gudang branch of the Environmental Department. There is challenges in managing the environmental costs. The first challenge is the cost increase. The costs incurred to manage the waste to meet the local regulations will increase company operation costs. It is the challenge to the company to maintain the costs at the same time to protect the environment. The second challenge is staff knowledge. The staff of the company lack knowledge in the environmental cost management. The company need to give training to the staff or hire new staff that have knowledge in environmental cost management. The last challenge is society awareness. The company have to prove to the society that the company is following the local regulations in managing waste so that the society also have awareness to protect the environment. That's all for the first topic, measuring economic and social impact. So, let's take a break before we continue with Hazif and Adam for the second topic, current initiative in environmental management accounting.
Hi, welcome back to HANN Shows. So, we proceed to our next topic, which is the current initiative in environmental, which related to management accounting. As usual, we would like to ask the audience, do you have any opinion with our topic?
Initiative of the company or organization to identify and allocate environmental costs.
Good idea. So, give her a big clap because she tried to answer the question.
Okay, thank you, Nashita. My name is Muhammad Azif. So, I want to talk about the content of this segment. Okay, the first one is objective, and the second one is the introduction to environmental management accounting. The third one is environmental cost, and the last content is about the current initiative. Okay, the objectives of the environmental management accounting is to identify the current initiatives of the environmental related to the management accounting. It's that simple. Okay, next, what is the environmental management accounting? Okay, so environmental management accounting is a combined approach that allows data from financial accounting, cost accounting, and mass balance to increase material efficiency, to reduce the environmental impacts and risk, and reduce the environmental protection costs. Okay, it is also to assess, to control and minimize environmental risk in that gives mutual benefits to the organization and the environment. Okay, this is because using certain common accounting methods possible will give benefits to one of the other party. Okay, so what is the environmental cost? Okay, in 2001, the United Nations Division for Sustainable Development state that the accounting systems for the environmental management create knowledge for internal decision making rather than external decision making. They broadly define that environmental management accounting to be identification, collection, analysis, and use of two types of information for internal decision making, which are the physical information on the use, flows, and destinies of the energy, water, and material, including waste. And the other one is monetary information on environment related costs, earnings, and also saving. Okay, next I will talk about the categories of costs. Okay, there are 4 types of categories. The first one is prevention costs. Okay, prevention cost is the activities undertaken to prevent production waste. And the second one is detection cost, which is to ensure the organisation complies with regulations and voluntary standards. And the third one is internal failure cost, which are incurred from performing activities that produce contaminants. And the last one is external failure cost, which is the incurred on activities performed after discharging waste into the environment. Okay, so there are 4 types of costs, which are the conventional costs, the potential hidden costs, contingent costs, and also image and relation costs. Okay, conventional cost is a raw material and energy cost having environmental relevance. Potential hidden cost means that the cost captured by accounting system but then losing their identity and general overhead. As for the contingent cost, it is the cost to be incurred at a future date. For example, cleanup costs. And the last one is image and relation costs, which is the cost that by their nature are intangible. For example, the cost of preparing environmental reports. Okay, next I will talk about the current initiatives of the environmental management accounting. Okay, so the first current initiative is EMS, which is environmental management system, waste management, eco-labeling, total cost assessment, environmental activity based cost, environmental life cycle costing, and also environmental performance evaluation. Okay, so what is the environmental management system? EMS is a framework that helps an organisation achieve its environmental goals through consistent review, evaluations, and improvement of its environmental performance. Okay, under ISO 14001, it encourages an organisation to continuously improve its environmental performance. Okay, of course, for the environmental management system, they also have the pros and cons of the system. Okay, so the cons is that the time consuming for staff employee to adapt or to apply this system, and also for the training costs for the employee to learn about the system. Okay, and the pros about the system is that it enhance the compliance, and it will help to prevent the pollutions of the environment. It is also to enhance the image with public, regulators, lenders, and also investors. And the last pros that can we get from this management system is that the employee awareness of environmental issues and responsibilities will be higher. Okay, the next initiatives is the waste management. The purpose of a company to apply environmental accounting to control and reduce the cost of disposed or recycling waste. It is also to use the air pollution control system and to purchase pollution prevention technologies. Another current initiative is the eco-labeling. Okay, eco-labeling is a voluntary certification and labeling process for environmental performance that is implemented around the world. Okay. And eco-labeling describes goods or services under a particular category that have been found to be environmental friendly. Okay, so these are the examples of eco-labeling. As you can see, there are several of eco-labeling in Malaysia that we usually found in services or goods. Next I will pass to Mr. Adam to continue about the current initiative. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Adam Hero, and for the next current initiative, that is Total Cost Assessment, or TCA. TCA is the consideration of all environmental and health costs associated with a decision, including direct costs, risks and liabilities, and costs borne by others. The TCA methodology prompts the user to consider all these costs, but the user may also select a subset of costs to consider. And it is based on methods and programs developed by GE to better select and justify waste management investment decisions that are environmentally sound and reduce long-term liabilities. In the TCA, there are 5 costs used. The first one is direct costs, which is recurring and non-recurring costs, such as manufacturing, site costs, capital investment, labor, raw materials, and waste disposal costs, capital, operating, and maintenance costs. The second one is indirect costs. That it is also the same, recurring and non-recurring. The example is, for example, corporate and manufacturing overhead costs not directly allocated to product or process. The third one is future and contingent liability costs. It is a cost that includes fines and penalties caused by non-compliance, cleanup, personal injury and property damage lawsuits, natural resources damages, and industrial accident costs. The fourth one is intangible internal costs, which is company paid. It includes difficult to measure costs such as promoting consumer acceptance, customer loyalty, worker morale, worker wellness, union relation, and corporate image. The fifth one is external costs, which is not directly paid by a company. For example, costs borne by society, including deterioration of the environment by pollutant dispersions that comply with applicable regulations. The next current initiative is Environmental Activity-Based Costing, or Environmental ABC. ABC can recognize the cost of an enterprise environment. Environmental cost calculation is the first step of environmental cost incurred. Environmental cost recognition criteria includes 3 things. The first one is whether the operation's occurrence is related to the environment. Second one is whether the compliance with the principles of definability, measurability, relevance, and reliability. The fourth one is to determine the belonging period of cost effectiveness. The use of ABC is for allocation of corporate environmental costs. Environmental expenditure confirmed will be allocated and form environmental cost of product. However, due to non-quantifiable environmental costs and difficulty with the corresponding income matching ratio, these features make it very difficult to use existing accounting methods to account. The steps to rationally allocate environmental costs are as follows. There are 5 steps of ABC. The first one is to analyze the environmental cost of the events, determine the activities. Operation is the main consumption of the environmental resources, which can reflect the consumption of resources and decompose environmental cost to each activity cost base. And the second step is environmental costs are assigned to each operation to form the different cost libraries. And the third step is determine environmental cost drivers. Environmental cost drivers are decisive factors which lead to environmental costs occur. Also, is a criterion of allocating the cost of operation cost library into specific product environment costs. And the fourth step is the allocation, calculation of cost drivers of the cost operations library. The current environmental resources usage in operation cost library is divided by the current cost drivers amount to get cost drivers allocation rate of current operation library. And the final step is the cost of the operating cost of the library dates to the product. It means it allocates toward each product. the current environmental resources usage in operation cost library is divided by the current cost drivers amount to get cost drivers allocation rate of current operation library. The next current initiative is Environmental Life Cycle Costing, ELCC. The objective of this life cycle environmental cost model is to include eco costs into the total cost of the products. There are several phases for the ELCC assessment system. The phases that exist are: the first one, goal and scope definition; second one, life cycle inventory LCI analysis; and the third one, life cycle interpretation; and the fourth one, reporting and review. The next current initiative is Environmental Performance Evaluation, EPE, which is an internal management tool that provides managers with information about whether an organization's environmental performance is achieving the aims set out in the environmental policy. EPE is an ongoing process that tracks performance trends over time. As in other situations that requires is a systematic approach. You can't go wrong if you apply the plan, do, check, act cycle according to ISO 14001. The steps should be taken according to the following figure. So the plan, do, check, act cycle is as following. The first one, plan, which is selection of indicators for EPE. And the second one, do, which is we gather, analyze, evaluate data and report. And then the third one, check, internal audit and management review. And then the fourth one, we apply, which is corrective action. And then we go back to the first step, which is plan. And then we repeat this cycle. It is also called continuous improvement, which is very similar to Kaizen, or some people will refer this as Kaizen. So that was about current initiative. I hope you all have gained some knowledge today. And I would like to have Miss Nashita to sum up what we have learned today.
Thank you, Adam. Now we proceed to the recommendations. The recommendations are: number 1, train the staff and be knowledgeable in environmental cost management, which includes environmental management accounting. Number 2, analyze the expenditure in order to maintain the profit for the company. Number 3, society should be aware about the company effort in managing the environment. Now, we come to the conclusion for the both topics. The conclusion is, an excellent company is not only derived for maximize profit, coherence with their goals, vision, and missions. However, they are also good in managing the environment with number of initiatives implemented which incurred additional costs to the company so that the new generations will enjoy healthy environment. That's all from us, HANN shows. Thank you for watching.